Well, race fans, welcome to the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course as we start really the second half of the season, even deeper than that for USF2000. There's only 3 more weekends on the schedule. Mid-Ohio, of course, Toronto, and then we'll cap it all off on Labor Day in Portland for the finale. My name's Rob Howden, joined today in the booth and for this pre-race by Simon Sykes, who's sadly not on the racetrack here, running with Legacy Autosport last year and through the start of this season. Legacy electing to focus now on Indy Lights for 2023. That leaves you, Simon, without a ride. You're here in the toughest place for a driver, and that's on the sidelines watching the racing.
It is. Obviously, it hurts a little bit, and especially this place. Mid-Ohio is one of the greatest tracks here in the U.S., and I've had success here. Always love this place, and yeah, it's a bit tough to sit on the sideline, but it also offers a different perspective where I can see what these guys are doing, the guys I've been racing against all year, and look at it from outside the car.
Gives us a chance to leverage him as well. Obviously, as you said, he's had some success here. Was on the podium here last year in a really strong run of races to cap off the season. So we'll use Simon and talk a lot about what's going on. We'll talk about the racetrack first and foremost, Simon. This track, as we get ready to jump into a main event, one of 3 races, a triple header for USF2000. It's a tough one. This isn't the Road America where you have the long straightaways, the hard braking zones. This is a more fast, flowy racetrack. That means the passing opportunities, the overtaking opportunities are at a minimum. 1, maybe 1, 2, 4. This is not an easy place to overtake.
No, it's definitely not. And what I'm curious to look at is we've had an interesting season where we've gone to tracks you can pass at, tracks that are harder to pass at, like your Barbers. We had our last event being Road America. It's a wide open place. You've got long straights. So now we're coming to a smaller course. I'm wondering if we're still going to see that same level of aggression and those deep moves all around this place as they try to get it sorted out.
That's great insight, because really at a track like this, you want aggression to be replaced by maybe patience, because you have to get a pass done. Like you're getting a pass done in 1 to get to 2, maybe to 4 to 6, because over the hill down into 6 is obviously crucial as well. You have been fast here when you've been here before. You're a 2-time SCCA National Championship runoffs winner in both Formula C and Formula Ford. What does it take to go fast around here? What kind of car do you need? Do you need it to have? Does it need to have oversteer, understeer, and where do you have to be fast to get a good lap here?
So this place is unique. It's got a long flowing back section, and what I really like here is a car that rotates well. Mm-hmm. If you can get the car pointed where you want through 5, 6, 7, we've got these winding corners where it's really all momentum and flow. You're trying to build the speed, carry minimum speed, and if the car rotates well, that's where your time's going to be made. Looking at times this morning, I saw a couple laps that could have gone pole, but due to turn 6, turn 9. They just weren't. I think those are big places where you're going to find time. Obviously, the keyhole up here, it's a driver's track, and I think it really rewards tough, hard driving.
One of the interesting things in qualifying was the fact that we had a couple of young drivers who really were on theoretical runs to potentially go on the front row. One of them being Nikita Johnson. He was in place based on that time to go P1. Jacob Douglas was the other driver for Exclusive Autosport. He was mired down, I think, 15th spot, had a fantastic last lap going, was essentially projected P2. He ended up having a minor miscue, missed an apex by about a foot, and ends up going P8. Still a great run for Jacob Douglas, but that's what separates here in USF2000, Simon, as you know. You make a little mistake like that and lose a 10th, you find yourself going from 2 back to 8.
It's it's the most competitive field personally I've ever driven in, and it's an ultra competitive field with a 10th covering multiple drivers.
Right.
It's crazy how competitive it is, and it's great to see these rookies step up and put these lap times down and realize that, okay, maybe I made a mistake, but I'm still inside the top 5, and it's still a great place to work from.
Let's talk a little bit about the grid right now, because if you look at the top 5, it's really interesting because we have the 2 top drivers in the championship standings. You have Michael D'Orlando and Miles Rowe. D'Orlando comes in with the point lead. Miles Rowe, though, able to get the fast time in qualifying. So they're going to be on the front row. They got to be thinking in their minds that there's a championship at hand. You go further back into 4th and 5th. We got a driver making his debut in Lockheed Hughes for J. Howard Driver Development. And you have a driver who's in the second weekend in Nikita Johnson for VRD Racing. Let's start with talking about the veteran drivers. You are a veteran. You've run a number of races, but still haven't had that first full season in USF2000. If you were in the place of Miles Rowe and Michael D'Orlando, how aggressive are you going to be? Or, the first race of a triple header, you try to stay clean and get out of here with a good finish?
You know what? You've got the 2 title contenders on the front row. At this point, I think there's going to be some respect between the two. We've seen collisions all throughout the year. I mean, it's been a hectic year. There's been a lot of crazy fighting. And I think what we're going to start to see is a level of maturity come through. Okay, now we're really thinking about the scholarship money at the end of the year, this championship. This is huge for drivers' careers. How can we best make that happen? Crashing certainly isn't it.
But here's the thing. Obviously, these two drivers, D'Orlando and Rowe, probably the two of the most aggressive drivers on the racetrack at USF2000. Maybe that's why they're up front. They also got together at Indianapolis Motor Speedway on the road course when Michael D'Orlando got into the inside of Rowe. They both wrecked in turn number 4. Are they thinking about that right now, or are they veterans enough to put that in the past, get rid of it, and come here and go racing and think about the future, not the past?
If this was the first season for either of them, I would say that it would probably still be fresh on their minds. But
be ugly.
we've got a lot of experience between the two of them. Both great drivers with storied careers, and of the junior formula even down to karting. We all grew up racing together.
Right.
Both those guys I race in karting.
Yep.
And everyone grows up together. I mean, you have incidents on track, but it's never long lasting. You make up, you get over it.
You have to,
and you go racing.
So let's talk about the rookies then. Lockheed Hughes coming off a big win in the F4 series here at Mid-Ohio last weekend. He comes in here, and he told me earlier this season at Indianapolis, in fact, that his focus is trying to get to the Cooper Tires USF2000 Championship next year, 2023. What a tremendous debut for this young Australian kid. Puts it P4 in qualifying. Fantastic start, and I think for him, it's an educational run, right? He's here to learn as much as he can, but if you can make a statement and finish top 5, we always say that, try to make a statement in your first run, your debut. What do you expect of the Lockheed? Have you had a chance to talk with him in the paddock? I know you've worked your way around the paddock throughout the last couple of days.
I have been working my way around the paddock, and I did make it over to Lockheed today, and I was talking with him after qualifying, and he was pretty happy with the time, but we looked, and the time on his dash, since we have a different place for the timeline and the start-finish line gives us our time on our dash, and his time on his dash was actually a pole time.
Wow.
So if he had done it from the timing line back to the timing line, he might have had pole for this race. So as a fresh start for a rookie, that's all you can ask for.
Is that a bad thing? Because now he knows he has a car that can actually lead. He's going to be super aggressive, right? He's going to want to do the Alex Quinn like he did for VRD at Indianapolis and win all 3 races.
Well, I talked to him, and he seems to have a level head on him.
Right.
Level head on him. He's 20 years old. He's wise for his age, and I think he's going to show well here.
Let's go in the other direction. 20 years old for Lockheed Hughes, 14 years of age for Nikita Johnson. Been testing the USF2000, waiting for this debut. Wasn't able to do it early until he turned 14. His first race coming at Road America, a long, fast racetrack. He comes to the flowing circuit here at Mid-Ohio. What do you think about him? Same thing, I think, in my mind, is you know what? Just get out and have a good finish. Because he finished 8th at Road America. People are talking about Nikita Johnson already. He's 14. You finish in the top 10. Keep your name on the tongues of all these top guys, engineers, managers, whatever it may be, track owners, team owners. This is an opportunity for him to back up what he did at Road America.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. His team is from my hometown. I've been over there quite a bit talking to him, really trying to get to know him. I didn't know much before this weekend, and so it was great insight, and he seems to be the real deal. I really want to watch what this kid does because he's got a level head on him. He's driving years beyond his age.
We talked a little bit about the guys there in the front couple of rows. What I'd like to ask you about, too, Mid-Ohio, probably more than any other racetrack, changes so much as the temperatures change. We've had some cooler mornings, no precipitation for the last couple of days, which has been great. We may have rain overnight that could change things for tomorrow, but we're about 90 degrees. It's pretty hot out there right now. What do you think track conditions are going to be like? Again, for the first time this weekend, they roll out for a race after IndyCar on IndyCar rubber. How much difference is racetrack going to be?
I can't tell you exactly what it's going to be like, but it's not going to be like what they qualified in. They qualified in much cooler conditions this morning. The track, obviously, the temp has come way, way up. It's late in the afternoon. This place is notorious for changing. And you've just had Indy Lights and IndyCar take the track for their first sessions of the weekend. So whatever the drivers are expecting, if they think it's going to be like qualifying, it just simply isn't. So it's on the drivers and the engineers to keep their heads and be ahead of the track.
One of the things about this program, the Cooper Tires USF2000 Championship, it's all about driver development and to be able to challenge them like we will here today in a track that's going to change drastically. It's not at all what they ran on yesterday. It was super slick early, no grip at all early on Thursday. The grips come in throughout the day, but man, IndyCar just rolled out there for a long session, a ton of rubber going down. When they go through 1, 2, and then down to turn number 4 for the first time, there's going to be so much more grip, and really for them, they're going to have to adapt very quickly in terms of how that car is feeling. The engineers will have done some work on the cars, tire pressures, to make sure it handles that grip. But this is going to be such a different opportunity and a different challenge for these drivers as they get set to go. a triple header for USF2000. Of course, we will see them again for 2 races tomorrow, Indy Pro 2000 for 2 races as well. Simon, I appreciate you joining me here on our pre-race. We're going to have you back in the booth, though, on Sunday for the final 2 races, or on the Saturday afternoon for the final 2 races. Great for the pre-race. Can't wait to have you in the booth.
Absolutely. Can't wait to be back. Thank you.
Simon Sykes again, folks, on the sideline. Sadly, a tremendous driver who we've seen do so well here with Legacy Autosport. As I said, a 2-time SCCA National Championship runoffs winner as well. Lots of talent for the driver out of Georgia. Hopefully he lands on his feet and finds himself with a ride later this year, potentially, throughout 2023. One thing we have to look for, folks, is this is an international field. We know that for sure. We've had so many fantastic drivers. We talked about Lockheed Hughes, of course, from Australia. You have a number of drivers from England as well running in the Indy Pro 2000 category. In this particular program, USF2000, we have a couple of drivers from New Zealand. Of course, they look towards the NTT IndyCar Series and the legend Scott Dixon being the driver who they want to emulate. But those drivers from Exclusive Autosport, Billy Fraser and Jacob Douglas, coming from New Zealand, we had a chance to talk to both those drivers and some of the big players from New Zealand Motorsports when we were at Lucas Oil Raceway at Indianapolis Raceway Park. It's almost time to go racing, folks. Let's have a look at that. The drivers from New Zealand here in the Road to Indy. One of the big things about the Road to Indy over the years has always been the international flavor. Drivers from South America, from Europe. But recently getting a lot of drivers from down under as well, Australia and New Zealand. And joining me here today, David Turner from the Elite Motorsport Academy. David, I guess we go back and start with Scott Dixon, right? He was kind of the high-profile guy who's come from New Zealand to have a career here in the U.S.
Yeah, well, I guess I can blame him on my 20 years at Indy now, can't I? But yes, he did. What he did is he paved the way for a lot of young kids in New Zealand and said the US is a viable alternative to Europe. And as the Elite Motorsport Academy, we took advantage of that as well and said to kids, you do have an option. You have Europe and everything that brings, and you have the US. And we can thank Scott very much for that.
Winning the New Zealand Formula 4 Championship back in 2019, 2020, that was when I decided I wanted to become a professional racing driver. And we've got the likes of Scott Dixon and Scott McLaughlin in IndyCar, and yeah, the Road to Indy just sets up a great pathway. I see them as role models, and one day I want to be just like them.
I used to watch Scott McLaughlin when I was younger. I'm not quite old enough to have watched Scott. I think he was in IndyCar before I was even born, so he's been around a while. But I grew up watching Scott in V8 supercars, so it's pretty cool seeing him make the jump to IndyCar now, and obviously he's having a pretty good season, so it's pretty cool to watch.
I spoke with Hunter the other day. I was here 2 years ago when he had his USF race here, and he said to young kids, he was only in the academy 6 years ago, and he sat there with me in Dunedin in the middle of winter going, one day I'm going to get to the US. Well, he's well and truly in the US now, isn't he?
It was really good to see what Hunter did, and got a great relationship with Hunter. He's a great guy, and yeah, it's been really cool to kind of see his pathway, and it's pretty exciting for him to be in Indy Lights now.
What about the racetracks down in New Zealand? We don't know a lot about them. Are they a track? Is it a layout? Is it a kind of a facility that lends itself to training for drivers when they come into the U.S.? Because I know you've been here quite a bit.
Yeah, look, they're different without a doubt. Obviously, we have no ovals, so that's the first thing. So any driver that comes out of New Zealand or Australia has never raced on an oval. So the road courses at home are a lot narrower than probably what you've got here. They're a little bit along the lines of a Road America, but a much smaller version. So we're blessed. We've got 7 great racetracks in the country, all that are vastly different as well.
Yeah, I think last year I learned so much, mainly off the track to be honest, and yeah, putting in the results this year, which is really exciting.
We're doing lots of learning, which is the main thing, but it's been tough, but we're getting there. We're learning every time we're out there. We've got good potential, I think, when we put it all together. So I'm looking forward to getting back on the road courses and showing what we can do.
A little bit of a New Zealand invasion, as we know. Scott Dixon, Scott McLaughlin carrying that flag in IndyCar, but it'll be Jacob Douglas and Billy Fraser, as we said, currently in USF2000 this year.
Karting and motorsport enthusiasts, Lucas Oil School of Racing is America's #1 Formula Car race school. Enjoy modern paddle shifters, pit speed limiter, and onboard video along with integrated data systems. Get started today with our 2-day basic or advanced course. Lucas Oil School of Racing is the official school of the Road to Indy. We can also qualify you for your SCCA license. Get started today by visiting us at www.lucasraceschool.com.
It's your Uncle Cooper. Your SUV is a multi-purpose tool, like a corkscrew fish scaler. And that means your tires should be multi-purpose too. Like these Cooper rugged Treks. They're tough, but also run smooth as butter. And with dual sidewalls, it's like having a multi-tool that can look like a completely different multi-tool. Don't take that idea, by the way. I'm gonna patent it. Go with the Coopers. Cooper!
With over 40 years in business, High Tide Boat Lifts is committed to elevating your craft. Whether you own a personal watercraft or a large yacht, we can design and create the perfect lift for your needs. At High Tide Boat Lifts, we understand that you've worked hard to get to a successful place in life. We'll ensure you have a hassle-free experience, maximizing the time you spend on your boat with family and friends, and supporting your dreams out on the open water.
It's your Uncle Cooper. If you and your truck are constantly tackling the regular duties of the day, go with a tire that can handle them all. Oh, man. I stepped in it. Go with the Coopers.
And for the first time this weekend, we're about set to roll with wheel-to-wheel competition of the Road to Indy presented by Cooper Tires is again firing things up with the drivers in the Cooper Tires USF2000 Championship. My name is Rob Howden alongside Josh Green, Turn 3 Motorsport driver and Indy Pro. He'll act as my driver analyst today. Let's have a look at this grid of 20 drivers. There's Evagoras Papasavas in the number 6 for Jay Howard Driver Development. He's getting set to go from the tail of the field in 20. He'll start alongside his teammate Mexican Jorge Garcias in the number 9. Moving now up to row number 9, starting on the outside, just 14 years of age. The number 8 is Danny Dazelski for Jay Howard Driver Development. And on the inside for Cape Motorsports out of Avon, Indiana, it is Jackson Lee in the number 2. Up now to row number 8 on the outside, Nicholas D'Orlando out of Hartsdale, New York. His brother leading the points right now. Nicholas jumping in mid-season here to move his way into USF 2000, the VRD Racing rookie in the number 61 machine, starting on the outside of row number 8. Inside of that row for Cape Motorsports, the rookie in the number 5, it's Nikki Hayes, starting in 15th. Row 14, one of the Swedish drivers as part of this Road to Indy, Victor Anderson for VRD Racing. He's been picking up speed throughout the season. Anderson in the number 30, starting in the 14th spot. And on the inside from St. Louis, Missouri, in the number 33 for Turn 3 Motorsports, it is Spike Kohlbecker. Kohlbecker and Anderson on row number 7. We'll go to row 6 on the outside from Turn 3 Motorsports, the Illinois driver Christian Weir, the number 32. Podium finish at Road America, looking to work his way up into the top 10 here today. He'll start alongside Thomas Naveau in the number 10. Naveau, a driver, part of the championship battle right now, the young Canadian out of Oka, Quebec, Canada. Coming into the championship right now, he is looking to step things up and see if he can't work his way back up into the top 3. Moving now into the top 10 on the outside, third-generation driver Jagger Jones out of Scottsdale, Arizona, in the number 3 for Cape Motorsports, a winner already this year. The rookie starting 10th alongside Bajoy Garg in the number 12 for D-Force Racing, Garg in the number 9. Row number 4 now on the outside will be Jacob Douglas in the number 90th. Fantastic final lap for the New Zealand driver for Exclusive Autosport, able to work his way up into the top 10, comes off a top 10 finish at Road America as well. So Douglas in the number 90, starting in the 8th position alongside Dylan Christie from D-Force Racing in the number 11. Christie starting in the 7th position. Moving now up to row number 3. On the outside, the 2 New Zealand drivers we have, both with Exclusive Autosport. Billy Fraser, the number 92, one of our championship contenders coming into the weekend here. Fraser has had a really strong run of races over the past few events and comes in just 33 points back. 5 podiums for Billy Fraser for Exclusive Autosport in the number 92. He'll start 6th position on the outside of row number 3. And on the inside, just 14 years of age from Florida. Actually, his second ever Road to Indy start. Got his first weekend at Road America a couple of weeks ago. Nikita Johnson, the rookie in the number 17 for VRD Racing. A tremendous qualifying run for Nikita. He puts himself P5 inside of row number 3. Row 2 now on the outside. This may be even a little more impressive than Nikita Johnson. His debut in the program for Jay Howard Driver Development from Australia. Lockheed Hughes in the number 7, qualifying 4th for his first ever USF 2000 race. And we'll see whether or not he shows aggression or patience when we go racing here in a few minutes' time. Inside of that row, another driver in the championship battle right now comes in 3rd place in points. Jace Denmark out of Scottsdale, Arizona in the number 23, starting in the 3rd spot for Pabst Racing. Denmark a 122.207 in qualifying. Again, we'll start on the inside of row number 2, right behind his teammate Miles Rowe on the pole. But the front row will have Michael D'Orlando, your point leader, by 6 points. Actually, only 5 points now with the pole for Miles Rowe. Michael D'Orlando out of Hartsdale, New York, runner-up in the championship last year, trying to go that one spot better to earn that scholarship to work his way in to the Indy Pro 2000 category. Now working onto the pole position. Couple of wins on the season already. One at St. Petersburg, one at Barber Motorsports Park. He's only 5 points back in the points right now to New York, New York for Pabst Racing and Penske Entertainment. Miles Rowe on the 22. The pole sitter today as we get set to go racing. Rowe and D'Orlando on row 1. Denmark and Hughes on row 2. Johnson and Fraser on row 3. Christie and Douglas row 4. Garg and Jones row 5. Naveau and Weir row 6. Kohlbecker and Anderson row 7. Hayes and D'Orlando row 8. Lee and Dazelski row 9. And Garcias and Papasavas on row number 10. So field set. We'll fire these engines up right now, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, drivers, start your engines. Indeed, engines coming to life on pit lane. 20 drivers at the very start of the Road to Indy journey, trying to work their way to Indy Pro 2000, into Indy Lights, and potentially the NTT, IndyCar Series. The most successful driver of late, Kyle Kirkwood, winning all 3 championships, and then finding himself, as we know, this year running for AJ Foyt Racing in that number 4 team machine. He'll move to Andretti Autosport next year. Christian Rasmussen trying to do the same thing. He won USF2000, won Indy Pro, and he's trying to battle his way into a championship in Indy Lights. Drivers pulling off the grid right now. Let's jump over to our driver analyst here right now, Josh Green, who is already a race winner in USF2000, already a race winner as well in Indy Pro 2000. Josh, put yourself back a year when you were racing here in USF 2000. How tough of a field is it here in USF, and how tough is this racetrack?
To start with, the field it's tight. I mean, you look at the entire qualifying order, we have within a 10th in nearly 4 or 5 cars,
right,
which is, a gust of wind. So it is super tight, and the guys up front are really, really talented. The circuit itself, we have all of the twists and turns and the big jumps and stuff like that. All the undulation really changes the balance of the car, and there are a lot of speed secrets, I'd say, around here that aren't really the same as other circuits. It's not a very natural one to drive. There's a lot of very weird things you have to do to get lap time out of it.
I mentioned this at the pre-race, talking with Simon Sykes, who joined us at the start of the show, that the big thing here now is that IndyCar's now gone to the racetrack. They've tested all day Thursday. We had practice, qualifying, and now they're going to race for the first time. IndyCar's laid all the rubber down. How much different will this racetrack be now with this kind of rubber on it?
See, in qualifying, the cars that may have had a bit of understeer might have been quick because the track was so slick, but as the IndyCar rubber goes down, anything with any understeer is going to go to chronic understeer in the race. And it's very well known in these USF cars, if you pick up any understeer, especially in a race run, you're going to kill that front tire pretty quick, and it's going to be hard to stay up front.
So there you have it, folks. Understeer not good when you come into these conditions with IndyCar rubber down. Again, Miles Rowe and Michael D'Orlando. You got to think of the mindset from these 2 drivers in the championship fight. Triple header here at Mid-Ohio. Not much racing after this. We go to Toronto in 2 weeks, then we wrap it all up on Labor Day weekend when we head to Portland International Raceway on the West Coast for the finale. So there's not a lot of racing still to do. 8 races in total. Both Rowe and D'Orlando thinking about getting that scholarship to move to Indy Pro 2000. And oftentimes this race here at Mid-Ohio is the deciding point. One driver may have trouble, one may excel. Both these drivers hoping to call Mid-Ohio a place that they were able to win this championship. Away they get ready to roll, coming out of the carousel. Time to go racing for the first of what will be 5 Road to Indy events, plus the Indy Lights event as well. Here they come out of the final corner. It's time to go green flag racing, and we got it. Green, 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 and a good jump for Miles Rowe as he'll try to work his way down into turn number 1. Field rolling its way through the start-finish line now through turn number 1. So far, so good, but it's always that big run up to turn number 2 where things kind of get sketchy. One driver dropping a wheel further back. Looks like everyone continuing. We'll go 2, potentially 3 wide. D'Orlando trying to go to the outside. Ducking into the inside is Lockheed Hughes. He's potentially going to get P2 as they work their way out down the downhill off camber, keyhole corner. D'Orlando with better push. He comes off the corner. A lot of forward bite there. Working their way down the straightaway now into turn 4 for the first time. Simon Sykes said in the preview, this is going to be tough. What is it going to be like in turn number 4? D'Orlando down to the bottom of the racetrack. He wants to try to go to the lead. They'll work their way back up the hill to turn 5. Not able to do it. Miles Rowe holding it back. Almost single file down through turn number 6. A couple of side-by-side drivers further back. We're trying to get things lined up here. Miles Rowe doing the best he can in the opening circuit. Actually, a fantastic job for Miles Rowe to hold off what appeared to be a very determined Michael D'Orlando into Thunder Valley for the first time, and indeed single file. Now you got a feel for where you are. You can get a chance to go to work. The opening lap, obviously the best opportunity to potentially gain spots, but also an equally easy opportunity to potentially get it into an incident and end your day. They'll come across the line for the first time. We'll stack them and pack them here. Miles Rowe, the leader. Michael D'Orlando, 2nd. Hughes, 3rd. Denmark in 4th. 5th is Fraser. 6th, Douglas. Jacob Douglas up to 6th from 8. Big mover early. One driver in the pit lane already. Ivagoras Papasavas has lost the front wing off that machine, so started 20th. Had to pit here to get the potential change. Maybe even be an issue inside the car. We'll see. But they've got Lockheed Hughes down here in front of us, ready to put a new wing on. Outside, Douglas in 6th. Nikita Johnson falls to 7th. Jagger Jones up to 8th. Dylan Christie in 9th. And Christian Weir in 10th. Here's the next rundown, the hectic rundown into turn number 4. And again to the bottom goes D'Orlando. He is pushing hard to try to get by. Can he try to force an issue? Oh, he's going to try to get around the outside of turn number 5, top of the hill. Down to 6. Again to the inside. A correction there by Miles Rowe. I'll tell you, Josh, we've got aggressive racing. Are you surprised by how aggressive it is early on? We can see a pass there potentially for Lockheed Hughes to the inside of D'Orlando.
That's a rough overtake. Into turn 9, it's hard to defend that just because you know they're steaming down the inside. If you turn in, it's a crash. It's a smart move to make, especially if you're coming up quick. But not really surprised, I have to say, from the 2 points leaders. I mean, you know, when you're racing someone else and you have a chance about losing the championship, fine. But if the 2 of them run into each other, they know they're pretty safe.
That's true, right. If you take me and I take you out, really it's a net 0. But what happened here was that Lockheed Hughes able to take advantage of it. D'Orlando tried to see if he could get around Miles Rowe, couldn't get it done. Lockheed Hughes dove onto it. He goes to P2 now, so Lockheed Hughes up into 2nd. Another one of the drivers, Jose Garcias, across the line. You'll see him rolling through turn 1. He's lost the rear wing off his machine, so 2 of the J. Howard driver development cars will find themselves into the pits. Papa Savas needs a new front wing. Garcias needs a rear wing. But here's your leader, Rowe. Then it's Lockheed Hughes. Then it's Jace Denmark. D'Orlando going all the way back to P4, just ahead of Billy Fraser. There's a fight there. That's the number 10 machine of Thomas Naveau. He's got Spike Kohlbecker right behind him. That is the scrap right now for 13th and 14th. Kohlbecker looking to the inside, potentially coming into turn number 4. Does not go for the move. Again, we'll see how things play out. Oh, a driver is spun and a driver off as well. 2 off, 3 off. Contact further back. 3 drivers involved in an incident coming out of turn number 4. Normally that's not where you see the incident happen, and I'll tell you, I think we're going to have to go full course yellow because the driver there is looks like he has right front suspension damage. And you know, the sad thing, Josh, is that's not even the driver that caused that incident. I think that a driver spun, dropped a wheel. That's going to be the 33 of Spike Kohlbecker. One of the drivers dropped a wheel, spun the car around, and Kohlbecker had nowhere to go.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just get stuck in those incidents, you know, when the dust comes up and everything like that and the car spins, you're just driving blind.
Yeah.
So sometimes you just get unlucky and you're a passenger.
3 drivers involved in total. We're trying to pick up the other drivers there as they fall down the order. I think Thomas Naveau, Spike Kohlbecker, and maybe Nick D'Orlando involved in that as well. So we'll re-rack them here. The AMR IndyCar safety team will be out there very quickly to get that car hopefully on the hook. Back in pit lane here. Here's a replay. Let's have a look at the replay here coming through, and we'll see. I'm going to say a driver drops a wheel potentially. Now, oh no, there's actually contact. Yeah, there was contact coming through Kohlbecker and potentially one of the D-Force cars. There's D'Orlando. He had nowhere to go. D'Orlando able to continue, but he's lost his front wing. So D'Orlando in the VRD machine. There's D'Orlando there. No front wing. He'll have to come to the pits. Good for him. Under the yellow, they may be able to get that swapped in time, and it'll give his crew enough time, I think, right now to be able to get the wing out and get ready to go to work there. Not the easiest thing to do to swap a wing off these machines. Not quite as easy even as IndyCar. But a couple drivers involved. Papa Savas early, he and Garcias having contact. Spike Kohlbecker involved in this with Thomas Naveau and Nick D'Orlando. So 5 drivers in total involved in the incident early on. We were able to get 3 laps in the books. Rowe, Hughes, Denmark, D'Orlando, and Fraser. Johnson, Jones, Douglas, Weir, and Christie. Top 10. Give me your assessment of the opening couple of laps. What are your thoughts there? Michael D'Orlando looks like he wanted to go for the win. I think he always tries to go for wins. All you drivers say that, right? I'm not thinking about the championship. I'll just win races and let that kind of take care of the championship. He was really being aggressive trying to get by Miles.
Yeah, I mean, I had a chat with him actually before the race, and he was mentioning, like, you know, he was thinking about the championship, and I was like, you got to keep that out of your head, especially when racing Miles. You know, as I said before, it's a net loss for both of them if they crash. Racing other cars, he has to be smart because the P4 finish is better than last. But if him and Miles crash into each other, all in all, they're going to be able to be okay.
Are we back? We're back to green flag racing. I don't know how they cleaned it up so quickly, but we're already back to green flag racing, and here comes the number 4 into pit lane. That's D'Orlando. Something has happened to D'Orlando. Here comes both D'Orlandos on pit lane right now. Michael D'Orlando, your point leader, coming to the crew. Cape Motorsports at the very front end of the grid. What happened to D'Orlando? You wonder whether it might have been a puncture for the contact he had, maybe battling it out with Lockheed Hughes. Whatever it is, he has gone up to the back. And another driver's phone is Billy Fraser. I think maybe Billy Fraser potentially and D'Orlando, they were 4th and 5th on the racetrack. Fraser's fallen back to the 11th spot, and D'Orlando into pit lane. Fraser was 4th in points, D'Orlando P1. So a shake-up here in the championship in race number 1 of a triple header. We'll restack it for you when they come back in. It looked to me like, I think the 33 at Kohlbecker, I thought there was damage on the right front on that machine. He was able to actually drive it back. That's why it was so quick. I thought the AMR safety team was going to be out having to pull him off. It looked to me like he had right front damage. Able to drive the number 33 Turn 3 Motorsport cart back to pit lane. We go right back to green flag racing within a lap. Out of Thunder Valley. We'll have a look at it here. 20-lap race for these drivers. And look at this lead now for Miles Rowe. Rowe over Lockheed Hughes. Then we've got Jace Denmark in 3rd, Nikita Johnson 4th, Jagger Jones up to 5th, Jacob Douglas runs 6th spot, Christian Weir in 7th, Christie 8th, Hayes 9th, Garg in 10th. Billy Fraser holding on right now to 11th. But tough one for Fraser, was running P5. Can he dig his way back forward? I want to make sure there's no damage potentially to Fraser's car. I'll try to pick the wing up next time. There's Billy Fraser right there in the 92, the Corpay machine for Exclusive Autosport. Good shot there. Cameraman picking that up. Nicely done. And I don't see any damage, Josh. You?
It looks pretty clean.
Looked pretty clean, right? And we'll see what Fraser's able to do. He's behind Bajoy Garg now. So damage control for Fraser. He'll dive down the bottom of the inside there and turn number 4. Book it there. Fraser through to go back into the top 10. So Billy Fraser with his elbows up. We'll see what else. There's a great battle further back there. That's Victor Anderson, Danny Dzelski, and Jackson Lee. I think Thomas Naveau in the tail of that as well. Those are the guys scrapping it out for the tail of the field. Naveau almost going off. Now they are really dropping the hammer. That was actually Jackson Lee on the outside of the Cape Motorsports car that almost dropped it off. He's got Naveau right behind him, and he is right in front, or right behind Danny Dzelski. Leaders out of the carousel. Across the start-finish line. Let's put lap number 6 in the books, 20. Number of drivers taking advantage of this chaos to move forward. Big movers, Jacob Douglas, as I had said, he started in the 8th spot. He's worked his way up into 6th. Christian Weir was 12th. He's up into 7th, so a 5-position improvement for Christian Weir. Solid run for Christian. Who else coming from deep in the field? Nikki Hayes, 15th up to 9th. So Hayes up 6 spots. Oh, and there's Hayes dropping a wheel. Just as I'm pointing at Nikki Hayes, he drops a wheel coming down the hill, the off-camber right-hand downhill of the carousel. How easy, Josh, is it to lose it there? You know, the car, you got wheel in it. You're trying to roll on the throttle, and the track itself falls away. Is it pretty easy to drop a wheel on the other side of the exit curbing?
So actually, the concrete there has a ton of grip, and the problem is you start getting to power, and the car hooks up, and then the second you dump off of it, because it comes off just before that exit curb, you dump off of it, and all of a sudden it takes all the momentum straight out to the outside of the track. So you pick up the wheel spin a little bit on the concrete, and it starts to go the right direction, and then suddenly it falls off.
Insight from Josh Green, who will run tomorrow a couple of races for Turn 3 Motorsports. Josh coming into the championship sitting 6th in the points, 3 podium finishes and a win at the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. Rookie driver in the series. You can cheer for him tomorrow in that number 3 for Turn 3 Motorsport. Josh out of New York. We'll keep coming to him throughout this race. It says 5 laps to go on the screen. We're literally 13 laps left, so that's not quite correct. 13 laps to go. 7 laps down, 13 laps to go, I believe. A 20-lap race. We have a 40-minute time window here, so lots of time still. We only lost 2 minutes there in that yellow flag. So lots of time to go. 13 laps remaining. Watching a great run so far here. Oh, we're going to go 2-3 wide down the bottom. There's a battle there. That is Billy Fraser getting aggressive on Christian Weir and Dylan Christie. He's at the top on the outside right now. Christie trying to drive him off the outside. Back down to the bottom comes Billy Fraser side by side coming through the corner. Man, they are going at it. Billy Fraser. I think you got a mad Billy Fraser out there. I don't think he was very happy with whatever happened to him because he is driving like a man possessed. He is working his way back forward, moved Billy Fraser up into the 8th spot and able to get a good jump out of there as well. Fraser pushing forward. Good racing throughout the field here right now. We saw the guys a little further back. Anderson, Dzelski, Lee, and Nepfu going at it. The lead now, though, for Miles Rowe, comfortable out to over a second. Call it 1.7 seconds last time across. So Miles Rowe, who comes in scoring a couple of wins on the season, but it's been a while since he's been in victory lane. 2 wins, one at St. Petersburg, one at Barber, back-to-back. The second race at St. Pete, the first race at Barber. Hasn't had a win since, but he is on a run of 3 straight podium finishes. He finished second at Indianapolis Raceway Park in the Freedom 75, and a back-to-back second-place finishes at Road America. So right now lining up for what could be a 3rd victory for the driver from Pabst Racing, Miles Rowe. Billy Fraser, watching him fight his way back forward. He's trying to close up now on Christian Weir. Same goes for Jacob Douglas in 6th position, started 8th. Nikki Hayes, as we said, started deep in the field. He's now up at the 9th, but we're being told a yellow flag. Being told there's a yellow flag, and indeed yellow condition on live timing. Not quite sure where it is at this point, but I believe we have another full course yellow. Try to pick that up as they work their way around the track. Yellow flag being shown. Not sure what it's for. Nope, they pulled it back out. So, man, they're keeping us guessing here. They go track condition yellow, track condition green. Not sure what that was, but those of you at home who are cheering for Miles Rowe, you can be happy that that lead of 1.7 seconds still intact. He's not going to lose it. And Josh, what's that like for a driver? You get out to the lead. You've obviously led races over your career. You've won races. You're out to that big lead. You've worked your tail off. You put in consistent laps. You got that 2 seconds, that gap that feels so good. Then you see the yellow, and it's gone because it's depending, especially at some of the racetracks, you don't want to be leading on a restart. It's tough. What's that feel like for a driver?
Well, funnily enough, we had that here last year in the wet. And when you break out that lead, you are working pretty hard. It's quali lap after quali lap to claw yourself away. And at a circuit like this, where there is a pretty long straightaway and a good toe, especially where the outside's so powerful, it's quite hard to defend in a 4. You have to work really hard through 1 and 2 to get enough of a lead to be ahead after the safety car. But it's all the focus on getting that launch.
We won't jump the gun and asking about the mindset of going back to a restart, because hopefully we won't have one. If we do, we'll come to Josh with that. Again, drivers coming through turn number 5 down to turn number 6, the right-hander, working their way up through madness in a very tough part of this racetrack, 7, 8, and 9. As they push themselves through here, this 8 and 9 complex. 9 so difficult as you roll yourself up and over top, and the car gets super light coming over 9, essentially plummeting down into Thunder Valley. From there, a blind corner back up the hill, turn number 10. You're just kind of hoping you're in the right line. You got the right pace coming through to set yourself up for the carousel. Rowe leading by 2.1 seconds now. Lockheed Hughes runs in second. What a debut it's been for Lockheed Hughes, the Australian, for J. Howard Driver Development, running up there second. Nikita Johnson in third. Here's these 2 drivers with a combined 1 race weekend. None for Hughes. 1 race weekend for Nikita Johnson at Road America. And there they are right there. 20-year-old Lockheed Hughes, 14-year-old Nikita Johnson, ripping off the tear off. He's ready to go to work. So again, coming down the straightaway, Nikita Johnson. This is interesting to me as well, because I talked to Simon Sykes about it, Josh. For Nikita, he's running the USF Juniors program this year. Definitely in the championship battle there to try to win the scholarship to come in here into USF2000. But this is a fact-finding mission, right? He's been dying. He's been testing this car like crazy. Finally gets a chance to drive it at Road America. Has an 8th place finish. He's looking at a podium finish here. If you're on the radio, what are you saying to him? Like, are you trying to tell him to calm down, P3's good, or do you give him the green light? You let him go?
I think you give him the green light. I mean, he's brand new to it, and just see what he can get after it. It's important, if next year he's racing for a championship, that he can make these moves and fight for these. 1 more position could be the difference in the championship.
And neither of these drivers are in the championship fight either, right?
No.
Lockheed Hughes' his debut weekend. So Josh is green lighting him, which I love. Go at it. 11 laps down. 9 laps remaining in the race. 9 laps to go. Lots of time. 23:36 still on the clock. We're good to go here. 9 laps remaining with Rowe, Hughes, and Johnson 1, 2, 3. Denmark runs in 4th. Jagger Jones up to 5th. Douglas 6th. Fraser's been able to get by Weir, so Billy Fraser put him right on the gearbox of his teammate Jacob Douglas. Indeed, there they are coming out of the machine there. Coming out of the keyhole. Billy Fraser going to go to work on his teammate. Again, Fraser, his 2nd year in the series. Jacob Douglas just midway through his rookie campaign here. Let's see if he tries to move to the inside. Indeed he does. Here comes Fraser. Deep move down the bottom. I would expect that Jacob may have checked up a little bit there. He knows Then Billy's coming through. Great run already, though, for Jacob Douglas, who now runs 7th. Started 8th, top 10 here for Douglas. Coming off the top 10, he was able to score Road America. Will be fantastic. Keep setting up that momentum to move him forward. And Josh, let's talk about momentum as a young driver. You remember your first year in USF2000. You're getting in there. How much did the momentum mean to you? How much did a good finish? How much did it make the next finish easier to get?
I think as much as none of us want to say it, it is a big confidence thing.
Yeah.
And you finish on the podium 2-3 races in a row. You have that big confidence boost. You have that big belief in yourself. So you just tend to make less mistakes. You're proud and you're confident in what you can do in the race car, so you just go out and continue to do it. And when the mindset falters, you see the lap time falter. So when the guys are really quick and they keep winning, they continue winning throughout the entire season.
Yeah, I've always said that when you win your first race, oftentimes it'll open the floodgate and you'll win a lot of races. What we are seeing right now is Jace Denmark slowly start to work his way back to the Lockheed Hughes Nikita Johnson battle. There he is right there, the number 23. Jagger Jones a little further back as well. Last time by, Denmark was 0.4 of a second quicker. Here's a battle further back between Hayes and Christie. Nikki Hayes in the 5 and 9th, and Dylan Christie in the D-Force Racing Machine in 10th. So this is for the positions just inside the top 10. Christie going to try around the outside. You can do that here at Mid-Ohio. You got to hang around the outside. Not quite enough. And a good run there for Nikki Hayes. Realized he wasn't there, let the car push to the outside, kind of cover him off on the outside of turn number 4. That battle's continuing because right behind Christie is his teammate Bojoy Garg, and then Danny Dazelski with the best run we've seen out of the young 14-year-old. 2.9 seconds the lead for Miles Rowe up front, and this is really a strong return to form for Miles Rowe in the Pabst Racing Machine. A win here is going to move him very likely in potentially a tie for the lead. Actually, he may go to the lead because he's going to have the most laps led. He's already led 13 laps. He's got that locked down. Fast lap of the race is worth a point. He already has the pole position and trying to go for a race win as well. Rowe with fast lap. Could be a 33-point day for Miles Rowe. Look at that lead. But look at this battle here for second. Side by side. Lockheed Hughes on the inside. Nikita's going to try the outside. Look out. Here comes Chase Denmark. Denmark's got to be smart as well because he's got to remember, D'Orlando is back on the racetrack but down a lap. He's running 16th right now for D'Orlando. Jace Denmark, who is 25 points back, a chance to really get up there and get close as well to D'Orlando. So he's got to be smart. Maybe wait for these guys to potentially collect each other because they're running like this is the last lap of the last race of the season. Oh, nope, Jace will just throw himself right into the fight. He's going to go to the inside, coming down to 6. Going to the bottom, and Nikita Johnson, they're side by side. And I think Jace with a better spot coming over to turn number 8. Wow, I'm holding my breath here, Josh. That's good racing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's cool to see young drivers getting after it, but you're right, Chase definitely has to have a bit in mind in the fact that, he's fighting for a championship, and even though his teammate's out leading, Michael being at the back closes that gap a fair bit.
Yeah, there's an opportunity to cut into that 25 points. He's back. One driver's off the racetrack further back. Who has dropped the wheel? Trying to figure, that might have been one of the VRD cars who went off the track. We'll see who falls down the order. That's Nikita. I think that might have been Nikita Johnson. Indeed. Nikita Johnson, the 17, pushing hard. I talked about what it was like coming out of Thunder Valley, that blind corner at the end of the straightaway where you're kind of rising up over top. He's actually come to pit lane. He goes off track and comes to pit lane. The VRD machine, they're telling him to shut it off. What happened for Nikita Johnson? 4 wheels off. Like there potentially might have been contact. They're going to look to the right side of the car. He was going side by side, as we know, with Jace Denmark. That's going to change a lot of things. Team principal Dan Mitchell, sitting down to have a chat with his young driver. Only 14 years of age. He's been working with Nikita the last couple of years, dialing him in. He's run F4. He's run USF Juniors. His second weekend here in F2000. He's going to be starting up front in the first couple of rows, all 3 races. So he'll be back tomorrow for 2 of them. But you got to think he's pretty gutted right now, Josh, with an opportunity to go to the podium.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's quite odd to see him come in. And we've seen that, with Michael as well. I'm not really sure what happened, but as in any event, whether you're in the championship or not, you're going to be upset when you end up in pit lane.
They pulled the right front off like he may have had a flat tire, and that could have happened coming up the hill as he tries to turn back into the left-hander to set up for the carousel. That tire indeed went flat from potential contact because he was, of course, side by side with Jace Denmark, as we know, coming down through turn number 6. So indeed, they're going to work on the front of that car. Could have been a flat tire for Nikita Johnson. Nonetheless, he made a statement running there in the top 3, battling it out with Lockheed Hughes, but that's opened things up. So Rowe now the leader, Hughes in second, Denmark third, Jagger Jones up to fourth. Somehow Billy Fraser finds himself back to fifth. Jacob Douglas in sixth spot, Weir in seventh, Hayes eighth, Christie ninth, and Garg 10th. Here's the battle for second as Denmark putting the sights now on potentially getting by Lockheed Hughes. Same goes for Fraser. He's got the target on the gearbox of Jagger Jones, and everything changes with Michael D'Orlando back in 16th position right now. He's going to move up a spot. He does have fast lap. He just set fast lap of the race, so that could potentially steal a point away from Miles Rowe. But that really, anybody behind D'Orlando right now, Rowe, Denmark, Fraser, Jagger Jones, all able to make points back, tightening up that cushion up top. So again, there's 3 drivers there, 2 of the D-Force drivers going nose to tail. That's Dylan Christie, Bajoy Garg, and Danny Dzelski. That's the fight we see through turns 8 and 9 as Fraser dropping a wheel. I'll tell you this, Billy Fraser may be the fastest driver in the top 5 right now. He is starting to look like he may be able to challenge Jones and then potentially even Denmark to try to go onto the podium. So here they are coming across the straightaway in front of us as we watch them coming out of Thunder Valley. There you go. That's Lockheed Hughes, Denmark, Jones, and Fraser. They're lining up nicely here. Christian Weir about 0.4 of a second faster than Jacob Douglas. That will be the battle for 6th position. So Weir has his head down. He's trying to reel in Douglas. He's back by 0.8 of a second. We have 4 laps remaining. There's your 4th and 5th place driver. Here's 6th, 7th, Douglas and Weir. 8th place is Hayes, 9th Christie, 10th Garg, and then 11th Dzelski, and then Victor Anderson in 12th. Again, there's the 11 and 12 D-Force drivers, 9th and 10th. That is 9th is Christie, 10th Garg, 11th Dzelski. Good run here for Danny Dzelski, just 14 years of age, getting a feel for things. His 3rd weekend. Lots going on right now. We said, despite the issue on the racetrack, Michael D'Orlando with the fastest lap so far. And that's a point he'll take away from Miles Rowe, which is crucial. Could come down to that at the end of the season. We've seen championships come down and have to be split not only by most wins after a tie for first place, by most seconds. You go back to Gabby Chavez versus Jack Harvey in Indy Lights, where they both tied for the same amount of points. They both had the same amount of race wins, and to get the scholarship, they had to go back to the number of second place finishes, and Gabby Chavez was able to get that. Billy Fraser falling back a little bit here. P5 has not been able to reel up on Jones. In fact, the drivers, they're pretty much turning the same lap times. Lockheed Hughes at 1:23.9, Denmark 1:23.8, Jones 1:23.7, Fraser 1:23.8. And Josh, look out front. Rowe 1:23.202. When you're out front like this, you've got a big, huge gap. How do you manage it? Is it? Are you? I always talk about this. Are you still pushing 100%, or can you back off to 90 and not make a mistake?
If I'm in his position, I'm driving as slow as I can to win the race. I mean, I think the reality of it is the less chance you give yourself to make a mistake, especially if you're in the championship, the more chance you give yourself to win. Obviously, he's pushing for that fast lap.
Yeah.
Michael D'Orlando stealing 1 point isn't gonna kill him right now.
But you know when some people say that if you're not pushing at 100%, that's when you make a mistake? Is it falling back to 75%? Because obviously these cars work better the faster you go with the aerodynamics, right? You slow down, you start losing some of the aero. I've heard people talk about, man, at 75%, you're just not in the same groove as you would be in. Do you believe in that, or you know, is 90% enough?
I do and I don't. I'm not talking about bringing it all the way back to 90 or 75. I'm saying like we're at 100 or we're at 99, yeah. You bring it back to 97.
Oh,
you know?
Okay.
You're taking a 2 tenths off your optimal lap time and just taking it off the white line a little bit on exit.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, even at this point, he could put a wheel off and be okay, but there's really no point in risking it.
So maybe a little, not quite as the speed going into the corner to make sure you're able to pinch the exit a little bit.
Yeah, just don't make mistakes. Be consistent and know, that you are currently a good 6 tenths a lap quicker in the field. So if you're 3 tenths a lap quicker in the field, you're still driving away.
I like the fact that you said just don't make a mistake. Just as that easy, right? Just don't make any mistakes.
Well, yeah, it's a lot harder when you're leading and there's someone behind you, though. So
here's the fight right now for 4th position. Look at this to the inside of the keyhole to the bottom of the racetrack. Billy Fraser takes the spot away. Fraser goes to 4th, but you know that Jagger Jones right on the gearbox. He'll go to the outside, coming through that kink on the back straightaway. Fraser on the inside, Jones on the outside. They're going to try to play chicken down into turn number 4. Who's going to go deepest? Fraser's going to go in there as well. Oh, Jones almost throws it off. Jones tried to go deep, got the left side tires on the dirty stuff on the outside of the racetrack and almost tossed it off the outside there. That's going to be a completed pass for Fraser. Miles Rowe laying down a 1:23.299, dropping the hammer a little bit here. Let's see if he's got any more in him. That was his fastest lap, but that was still 4/10 off of that of Miles Rowe. White flag going to fly this time by. In fact, white flag for Miles Rowe. And look at that lead. Massive lead as the driver's just coming out of the carousel now. Lockheed Hughes has been absolutely challenged all race long by Jace Denmark, having gotten through there. First, it was Nikita Johnson. Then it's Jace Denmark. They have not lit up on Hughes whatsoever. He has not faltered at all. Final lap on the racetrack for the drivers here in the Cooper Tires USF2000 Championship. And Miles Rowe looking to potentially take over the point lead. I don't know that he will or not, because Deerlando's going to get at least a couple of points for where he's running on the racetrack right now. It's going to be close. No, Rowe will definitely take the point lead. Pardon me. He will definitely take the point lead. Will Jace Denmark then potentially move his way into second? That's more the key. 3 wins on the season for Miles Rowe if he brings it back to the checkered flag. No fight at all right now for second. Denmark kind of slotting in for the 3rd spot. Probably a good move there for Denmark. I'm sure they're on the radio saying, listen, Deerlando's running down in 15th position. We got a chance to make up big points here, tighten it all up on top. 2 more races tomorrow, though, for everybody to get that redemption they're looking for. Out of Thunder Valley through the carousel, call it 3 wins on the season for the Pabst Racing driver out of New York, New York. The winner of the front end of the triple header in Cooper Tires USF2000 competition. Miles Rowe wins it here at Mid-Ohio. Great way to cap off Friday. Here comes a potential side-by-side battle to the line. Lockheed Hughes is going to get second in his debut. What a run for Lockheed Hughes. Jace Denmark in 3rd. Billy Fraser coming back to P4. Jagger Jones 5th. Jacob Douglas holding back a charging Christian Weir. What a tremendous run. Best result of the season for Jacob Douglas. Christian Weir in 7th. Nikki Hayes 8th. Dylan Christie in 9th. And Bajoy Garg in 10th. Miles Rowe, though, 8.7 seconds. Josh, that is a pretty solid run. Really never challenged once he was able to get out front and pull away.
No, I mean, he killed it the entire race.
Yeah.
And I know we're talking about running at 99%, but he was a good 5-6 tenths quicker than everyone a lap. Especially, though, we saw both Michael and Nick Deerlando were really the only people on track basically matching his pace lap for lap the entire race.
That's exactly true. Billy Fraser, if you look at fast laps, Michael Deerlando with the fastest lap, Rowe second, Fraser, Nick Deerlando, and then Nikita Johnson. So Nick Deerlando will at least have the ability to say, man, I got a car that can run up front. He knows he can get the job done. Here's your unofficial results of race 1. Miles Rowe with the win. Lockheed Hughes and Jace Denmark will join me down in victory lane momentarily. Billy Fraser coming home 4th. He and Jagger Jones going to make up some big points on Deerlando as well. Jacob Douglas 6th. Christian Weir, Nikki Hayes, Dylan Christie, and Bajoy Garg. If you're the USF2000 field, what are you thinking about Miles Rowe for tomorrow? Is he going to be able to just ride this train to a couple more wins? Or I think we saw a lot of guys with good speed that can make things exciting.
I think we saw some guys that, were at the back just because of circumstance that have the pace to race him. I mean, everyone else is going to step up their game. They all know now, okay, this is the pace that we have to get to, so they have to get there. But I think we'll see Michael challenging him the whole race tomorrow.
Josh, we appreciate you joining us here again. Josh Green from Turn 3 Motorsports and Indy Pro 2000. You ready to go racing tomorrow?
Oh, yeah, always.
Josh Green, folks, a winner already in the season. My analyst, I appreciate it. We'll pass it back over to John Phippen. I'll get out of the booth, head down to victory lane, and when we're ready, he'll throw it down, and we'll have a chance to introduce the top 3 and have a chance to chat as well with the winner, Miles Rowe.
Rob Howden on his way down to the podium to talk to our winning 3 drivers. An exciting race, especially for second spot, as Lockheed Hughes on debut here this weekend, holding off the late race challenge from Jace Denmark. But the drive of the day has to go to Billy Fraser after getting knocked back early on, and a huge recovery drive up to 4th, passing people right and left. So that was a nice job. And it's going to shake up the points, too, with our points leader, Michael D'Orlando, with that contact early on. Knocked him all the way back to 15th place. A lap down from the leaders, so that's going to shake up the points battle heading into round number 2 of the weekend. Again, 2 races tomorrow for these drivers. First race at 10:45 tomorrow morning, and then race number 3 near the end of the day at 5 o'clock. Miles Rowe, your winner. Lockheed Hughes on debut, coming home in second spot. Chase Denmark, a great drive for third. Billy Fraser, a great recovery drive for fourth. Jagger Jones in the 5th spot. Jacob Douglas comes home in 6th in the 90 car. Christian Weir, another good battle in 7th. Nikki Hayes in the thick of it all race long, finishing in 8th spot in the 5 car. Dylan Christie and Bijoy Garg rounding out the top 10. As you make your plans for tomorrow, at 11th spot, Danny Dazinski in the number 8. Victor Anderson comes home in 12th. Jackson Lee in the 13th spot. Thomas Naveau also caught up in somebody else's incident back in 14th. Michael D'Orlando, the points leader, can do no better than 15th. His younger brother Nicholas coming home in the 16th spot. Nikita Johnson also right in the battle for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and then 4 wheels off late in the race cost him an opportunity to score in the top 5. Garcia Arce in the number 9, finishing in 18th. Spike Kohlbecker in 19th, and Evagoras Papasavas in the number 6 in the 20th position. As you make your plans for tomorrow, we kick off the day at 8 a.m. with the qualifying session for the Porsche drivers, as they will take the track for a 20-minute qualifying session. And then P2 for the Indy Lights will immediately follow at 8:35. Then the IndyCar Series for their second practice, a 45-minute practice session at 9:30 tomorrow morning. And then these drivers right back out on track for their second race of the weekend at 10:45, followed by the first race of the weekend, first of 2 for the Indy Pro Series, as they'll take the track at 11:40. That'll be followed by qualifying for the Porsches at 12:45, and then Indy Lights qualifying at 1:45. We'll have another opportunity to see the brand new Honda Civic Type R. And Rob Howden is down on the podium. Rob?
Thank you so much, John. Indeed, getting set to go to cap off the day here with our first podium of 3 this weekend as a triple header for the Cooper Tires USF2000 Championship. And again, these are the young drivers who are going to follow in the footsteps of the Pato Awards, the Renus VKs, the Kyle Kirkwoods, all the way to the NTT IndyCar Series. Let's start with the driver coming home in 3rd place today as Pabst Racing putting 2 drivers on the podium. From Arizona, 3rd place today in USF2000, Chase Denmark. And to present the 3rd place trophy, Dan Anderson, the CEO of Anderson Promotions of the Road Indy presented by Cooper Tires. Dan, thank you so much. Big finish for Jace, able to work his way from 5th up to 4th and through to 3rd for another podium finish to bring himself closer into the championship battle. Moving over to the driver coming home in 2nd. This is really impressive from Australia, coming in here as his very first event here in the Road to Indy presented by Cooper Tires, a rookie in USF2000. He ends up going on the podium, ends up finishing in 2nd for Jay Howard Driver Development. How about a warm round of applause for Lockheed Hughes? What a drive. Lockheed told me that he's absolutely exhausted. He got pressured throughout the entire 20 laps. Chris Pantani from Cooper Tires will present Lockheed, which, with what I expect, will not be his first trophy in his Road to Indy career. But a great job coming out of the gate for Lockheed Hughes and Jay Howard Driver Development. This signals a guy that could be battling for the championship in 2023. One more position, we'll have a quick interview with him when he gets up here, but wow, the 3rd win of the season. He's going to take the lead going into 2 races tomorrow for Pabst Racing. The winner today, Miles Rowe! Miles, let me ask you this. Obviously crucial, you know, a couple wins early in the season. You're on a run of 3 straight podiums, but to get back to P1, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, you know, everything to this championship is just that you got to do everything you could do to take what you can get. And, you know, we did well in qualifying, and it was just about, you know, keeping it calm, defending on the first couple laps, and then pulling away, and that's what we did. I got to say a big thank you to Paps Racing, Sparco, Penske Entertainment, Bell Helmets, for getting me there. My mom and dad, it's a long journey, and, we still got more to go. We still have 2 more races to go. But yeah, we just did what we had to do today to get closer to that championship.
You pulled away by almost over 8 seconds. The question then is, can you make the car any better tomorrow?
And we'll see, It all depends on the track conditions, obviously, if I'm going to get technical. But, this team has they're just such a great family, and they have the experience and the skills, so I wouldn't doubt it.
Congratulations. Get up on top. For the 3rd time on the season, Miles Rowe, winner in USF2000. We'll get Dan Anderson up here with the trophy again. 3rd win of the season and the 4th straight podium for Miles Rowe. This is the kind of momentum young drivers want to build midway through the season. We got 2 races tomorrow here at Mid-Ohio. We do a doubleheader at Toronto, and then we cap it off with a triple header at Portland on Labor Day weekend. We are still a ways to go, but there's a number of drivers, a handful, that still have an opportunity to potentially win the scholarship of over $370,000 to put them into the Indy Pro 2000 category next year. And again, following in the footsteps of guys like Kyle Kirkwood and Christian Rasmussen. Tremendous run there for Miles Rowe, as we said. Great drive to second. Lockheed Hughes, put that name on your bingo card, folks, because Lockheed Hughes just put on a show and made sure he put his name in the journalists' typewriters and laptops, because they're going to be talking about Lockheed Hughes for sure. We're set to go, guys. I think we got everything we need picture-wise. Gavin, you good to go? All right, guys, drop those trophies down. You know what to do with the champagne. You got 2 more races tomorrow. Unless you have a spare suit, I'd take care of each other. Spray that champagne, folks. A celebration right now for USF2000. And there you go, the spray happening. They're going to try to take care of the car as well. What a fantastic run. The future stars of the NTT IndyCar Series to cap off the day here at Mid-Ohio. Coming home 3rd, Jace Denmark, 3rd, Jace Denmark, 2nd. Amazing debut for Lockheed Hughes. And 3rd win of the year for the driver from Paps Racing, Miles Rowe.
Rob Howden, thanks so very much. Great podium, and we will see you tomorrow morning. As again, first thing out will be the Porsches for their first and only